everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I am Dan.
Yes, you are. And coming up on the show today, we're going to talk about some stuff.
Yeah, you know what we're going to talk about? Leaked video.
Yeah, so the most boring leak of documents and private videos and whatnot in the history of the planet.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you.
Really?
I fucking love these videos, and we'll discuss why.
But, okay, you might have found a way to love them, but the videos are just, these are not, like, leaked sex tapes.
Oh, no. There's nothing scintillating about the content of the videos. This is not, we're not...
What you find exciting about it, Dan, is more sort of the consequences of a couple little revelations.
I'll tell you what. That is not the case at all. That's not it at all. And I'm going to leave it at that because right now what you're doing is making sure that we do the opposite of sell the last act of our show. Like you're basically saying like, listen until the break and then go away because we've got horrible things to come.
I find it fascinating how fucking boring it is.
Yeah,
that's the thing that I get off on.
We'll discuss what I love about them.
The Mormons are boring.
They are that. But there's other stuff to discuss, and we'll get to that in the fifth half of our show. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to you about. Can we have the sex talk, Frank?
Okay.
I think we need to. As they needed to in Utah's Payson High School.
Sex talk, really?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They hired a guy who has been going around all over the country trying to help the poor youngins with the sex. Trying to help them understand each other.
Yeah.
Trying to help them. Here's the format that he recommends that Payson went with. Caused a little bit of hubbub. He did a big assembly for all of the students, and then a mandatory assembly for the girls, and then a voluntary assembly for the boys.
Oh, no. That's already problematic.
It's pretty bad. 350 girls show up to the mandatory assembly, and then 25 boys showed up to the voluntary after-school session for the boys. The message... Oh, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself. You're about to get very, very angry. The message to the girls was, boys have a God-given sex drive.
Oh, no.
And they can't help themselves. But God didn't give women a sex drive so that they can help control the population and blah, blah, blah. Boys need it so that they procreate.
So they can be aggressive and rape and...
Well, that's one of the bad consequences. So, ladies, watch how you're dressing.
Yeah.
You don't want to wake the beast.
It is your responsibility to control the boys' sexuality.
Correct.
Not the boys' responsibility.
No.
To control their sexuality. And by the way, girls, you don't really have sexuality.
No.
That's active.
We all know. I mean, he's one of these guys that I think just reading through his website and sort of hearing some of the quotations whenever, he's clearly one of those guys that's like, oh, he's the funny guy. He's the good, funny lecture. Oh my gosh. Boys, wait, let me see if I can find his website again. I had to get it off my screen because it was making me sad. But I'm going to pull it back up because there's this whole...
Dan was getting sad from a...
I was. Believe me. I was like, no.
Oh.
But yeah, this guy, literally, this guy is telling these girls that they are, if God didn't want boys to rape, he wouldn't have made sex such a strong impulse in them, apparently. But the women can protect themselves by not dressing like hoes.
Right.
So here's the guy's website. The guy's name is Brad Henning.
Yeah.
And So there's a section of his website that's for girls only. So I'm not even sure I'm supposed to be looking at this.
Oh.
I might be in trouble.
Oh, no, damn.
Top 40 questions asked by girls. How can you tell if a guy likes you? Why are guys so afraid to commit to a relationship? How come if you go out with a guy, he doesn't want to talk to you as much as he used to? Why can't guys admit when they're wrong? I mean, it's like every 1950s stereotype of how relationships are.
Well, and these also aren't questions about sex.
Well, I mean, that's because you're not supposed to have sex.
Like, shouldn't they? I mean, I think there are probably much more critical and important questions about, I don't know, sexually transmitted infections or...
No. Those don't happen because abstinence. Those you don't need to worry about those.
Properly use birth control.
That shit's for sinners.
What options for birth control are there? Like those are the questions that should be on this, right?
Yeah, it's why are guys scared of smart girls? Again, what's a guy? Here's his answer. You want to hear his answer?
Oh,
what's a guy's biggest fear? Being rejected by the girl. He knows he's not as good at communicating as she is, and most guys think girls are more moral than they are. So he thinks the smarter the girl is, the more she will find out about him. That scares him to death. So if a girl... fuck you. You fucking... Oh, God, I hate that.
Why is it so difficult to get guys to put on a condom?
What, right? How about...
That would be a good question.
Sure.
You know? What are some good strategies for maybe, encouraging
condom use?
Safe sex.
Yeah,
with my sexual partners.
Right. How about women like, I don't know. Anything that acknowledges a female personhood would be a good.
That would be nice.
A good
and
thing.
Also, if this is a talk about sex, let's talk about sex.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Yeah, here's the thing. He said, guys are sexual so that the species won't die out, while girls have a low sex drive so the planet will not get overpopulated. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Also,
boy, it's just balance, yin and yang.
It is, and the Lord made it that way, and that's part of the problem.
It's beautiful.
Part of the problem here is that it is a God thing.
It's a plan. Yeah.
The whole thing is a God thing. He was a pastor.
Yeah.
He says he started this program when he was pasting, when he was out there in the world pasting as a pastor, and the kids started asking him questions, and he thought, you know what?
Lots of questions.
Important
questions.
I have answers to these questions.
Why are boys jerks?
Why don't boys stop for directions?
Are there questions that the boys ask? Or is there a boys' eyes only section? Or is there only a girls' eyes only?
I mean, I'm sure that there is.
Because I want to know what kind of questions the boys are asking, and that he's willing to answer.
Yeah. By the way,
is there a difference?
There is a explanation for why the girls thing is mandatory, but the boys thing is not mandatory.
Oh, yeah.
It makes total sense. When you guys hear it, you're totally going to buy it.
Okay.
And that is that boys tend not to listen if it's mandatory. And girls listen if it's mandatory.
But there's also nobody showing up.
Right.
If it's not mandatory.
Yeah, but those 25 boys...
They listened. Boy, I bet they had a really productive... conversation about sex.
The for guys only section of his website, which I just pulled up, is in a totally different format. It's not the question and answer that the girls' format was. It's creative date and surprise ideas.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Creative dating ideas. Go for a drive. Drive to the beach. Drive to the mountain. Snowmobile ride. Airplane ride. Sounds plausible. Canoe ride, rowboat ride, sailboat ride.
Yeah.
It's all writing. Bike ride.
Well, it's active. You want them using their energy
Camera.
on activity rather than having sex.
I like this one. Camera. And then in parentheses, take pictures of things that are red or her favorite color.
Oh, dear.
Little kids, stores, mothers with kids, animals, dogs.
Sounds fun.
Your cock. rocks, barns, etc.
Really? Like a rooster?
Oh, my God. Take pictures of you both with a policeman. What? What a fun date. You guys, have you ever been on a policeman picture-taking date? That's a good one for all you African Americans out there.
Yeah. Oh, God damn.
No danger of that in Payson, Utah. All right.
Or probably any of the groups that this guy ends up talking to.
Yeah, he's not invited to the inner city Chicago high schools.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
So about 30 years ago, a sculpture of Jesus went up in a church in New York City.
Lovely.
In New York's Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine.
Love that St. John.
Yes.
The Divine one is the best St. John.
It's a lovely sculpture, actually sculpted by the daughter of Winston Churchill.
Oh, really?
And who was some sort of artist,
sculptor,
yeah, some kind. Edwina Sandys,
okay,
is her name.
Yeah,
and the name of this sculpture is Christa.
Okay.
Christa. It is a female Jesus hanging on the cross.
Wow.
With bare breasts.
Ooh.
And sort of kind of the leg kind of, it's a nice, well-positioned leg, I suppose. Kind of, half bent knee, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of not really a sexy pose because she is hanging. Well, no,
I mean it's actually a pretty similar pose to what you normally see Jesus in.
Yeah, it's a lady.
As a matter of fact, from a distance, you would not differentiate.
You really wouldn't get up there until you notice maybe the hips.
Yeah, she's got a waist thing and she's got boobies.
Yeah, and there's boobs. The main telltale is the boobs, right? So 30 years ago,
yeah,
people fucking lost their shit,
as they would,
over this sculpture.
Right.
Well, the Christa has returned.
Yay!
No more are the masses decrying a sexualized Jesus.
Okay.
This go around, it's actually part of a collection of an exhibit of images of feminine divinity. By 21 other contemporary artists. And the show is called The Christa Project, Manifesting Divine Bodies. And it's hanging in St. John the Divine.
Oh, cool.
So they've brought it back. And it does say something about how our attitudes have shifted in 30 years.
Yeah.
With regards to the ladies, here's feminine, deities.
I'll tell you what I'm excited about. Yeah. This really opens the door for some new profanity, some new exclamations.
Oh, Christa Christ.
How about Jesus menstruating Christ?
Oh, bleeding from all the...
Yeah. Trump can talk about it. She was bleeding from her eyes. She was bleeding from her spear hole. She was bleeding from her stigmata, from her whatever.
That's vile.
Well,
it's bad enough that they have a bloodied up God, right?
Yeah, the worship of your God on his murder weapon.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Is bizarre to me.
It's really strange.
But yeah, I mean, hey, what I love is it's the message that you send by making Jesus a she, or Jesus, as I like to say.
Jesus Christa.
Is that? I mean, it's a pretty standard good feminist message, which is take what you think of as default, as obvious, and just just apply it with a woman in mind and just see where that goes.
Yeah.
See where that takes you.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, back in the 70s or 80s, that was like, blow your mind crazy because feminism and whatnot. # feminism. But
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Something tells me people are still freaking out about it.
There are definitely those. There are those
Yeah.
who are freaked out a little bit. But I think, I don't know, think about sort of cultural images that and our sort of our shift, what's acceptable on TV even since the 80s.
Yeah.
It was still a very conservative time. Yeah, you know, I think it's clearly a different generation.
Yeah.
And people don't care as much about Jesus.
And
Not
also,
not even probably people who go to church.
here's the other thing. Who doesn't like a nice set of boobies?
Are they a nice set of boobies?
No.
They are sort of tortured.
Yeah, the whole thing looks. There's nothing visually attractive. I'm not saying like she's not attractive, but like it's a like the art itself has made it has taken this imagery and made it kind of crumpled and jagged and stuff. So it's not the lovely Christ that we often see. The beautiful Christ.
The idea that anyone ever called this a sexualized sort of rendering of Jesus
is insane.
Is ludicrous.
Yeah, there's nothing
because there's
sexualized.
nothing sexual about it at all, except for the fact if boobs are by default, you know, sexual.
Yeah, which is a silly notion.
Right. They're not. They're boobs.
I mean, they can be sexual.
Absolutely.
They can be delightfully sexual.
Well,
but
as many parts of the human body.
Sure. Get your thumb involved. That's fun. You can have some good sexual.
We don't have to cover up our thumbs.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Anywho, yeah, that's very interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good. Good. I like that you like it, Dan.
Oh, good. We're all on the same page then. You've been to Oklahoma. Spent some years there
Once or twice.
as a youth.
Yeah.
You grew up, as it were, in OK.
Kind of, sort of. But
Let me ask you this: if there were to be a big, important family name in Oklahoma, like
family name, like a last name,
like an important family in Oklahoma, like some
I don't know,
a
like
wealthy family.
Phillips.
And
Yeah.
why are they wealthy?
Lots of oil.
The oil.
Yeah.
Oil is a big thing in OK. Apparently, the oil industry is struggling a little bit. In oil and gas are struggling a little bit in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, they're not getting. I mean, with all the earthquakes and whatnot, they're having a hard time. Oklahomans, your average Oklahoman is actually finally turning on
fracking.
Fracking. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
when it starts to knock down your house, you think different about it.
It took earthquakes in Oklahoma. I don't know of, like, it's not an active, like a geologically active region.
Right.
There's not a lot going on.
There's no major fault lines.
Yeah, exactly. So you start getting, earthquakes at the sort of the 6-point level that do some shaking.
Right.
You don't really knock down a lot of shit, except nothing is built for earthquakes.
Right.
So, some unreinforced masonry.
Well, also,
will fall down.
When the actual earth starts to shake, it's kind of hard to write that off as like left-wing propaganda.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can say, the environmentalists are lying about the pollution. That ain't bad for you. Global warming's fake and blah, blah, blah. Right. But when the earth actually quakes beneath your feet, that's a little harder to dismiss.
Just going down this line just slightly, Dan.
Okay.
Just a slight tangent here, because that's an interesting point. It's funny that it takes the earth quaking, because here in Utah, where asthma runs a fucking muck because of our winter air that we all have to suffer through, and it's like smoking like a pack a day or whatever for everyone in Salt Lake, and it's like people can't see that.
Yeah.
Like, it actually literally takes the earth shaking where it once stood still.
For conservative people,
Yeah.
or for people who have a financial interest in a certain industry, to acknowledge that industry might be a fuck up.
Well, I think the people with an interest are probably mostly still just like, well, the earth changes.
But everybody has an interest.
It's just God.
Everybody's either
It's just God.
They get
He's
their
angry.
paycheck from the oil industry, or their cousin gets his paycheck from the oil industry, and everybody kind of needs
the local economy just depends entirely
on it. Well, the governor has noticed that there is a problem.
Okay.
And Governor Mary Fallon, has declared that October 13th of 2016 will be Oil Field Prayer Day.
No.
Whereas Oklahoma is blessed with an abundance of oil and natural gas, allowing the state to be a prosperous producer of these valuable resources, and whereas Christians acknowledge such natural resources are created by God, and whereas blah, 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 she has officially made an Oil Field Prayer Day. Reverends are getting in line. They're all excited about it.
You got to fill up those vacant spaces in the Earth's mantle and crust or whatever.
Yeah,
right. You got to prop it up with something.
With prayer?
So why not prayer?
Prayer, sure.
Prayer to hold the land steady.
Yeah, Tom Bedow of Ada.
Drill, baby, drill.
Of Ada, Oklahoma. Is the coordinator of the Baptist General Convention of Oklahoma's Oil Patch Chaplains Ministry. Holy crap,
God.
Reverend. He said this: the oil field is hurting right now. We're asking churches all over Oklahoma to open their doors, put on a pot of coffee, and pray for the oil field. And not only for the oil field, but the state, because the economy of our state is so connected to the oil field. Oil field, oil field. Could he have said oil field more in that quote? Maybe. Maybe if he'd tried harder.
The oil field.
And he's not, yeah. Anyway, there you go.
I'm disturbed.
Oklahomans, I hope you're all proud of your governor. All right, move on.
They actually are. Oklahomans actually like her.
Probably not our listeners in Oklahoma.
No, but the shocking thing is, anyway, I don't know. I honestly don't know. So moving on, Dan.
Yeah, please.
Polygamy, Dan.
The practice of marrying more than one woman as a man.
FLDS.
Sure.
Or the
Fundamentalist
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Sure.
Which is based down in the, Colorado City, Hilldale community on the Utah-Arizona border.
What do they call that? They don't call it either of those things. They call it like Short Creek or something.
I think that is Short Creek. Yeah.
Only it's Utah, so you say creek.
Well, if you are down there, you do. So these are the sort of the Warren Jeff.
Yes.
This is the Warren Jeff group.
Right.
Well, there was a bunch of, you'll recall, Dan, maybe last year sometime, about 20 members. No, more than that. There was a large group of men who were arrested for the food stamp fraud thing. Remember this?
Yeah.
Well, 10 of them were sitting in court.
Is this set up to a joke?
10 polygamists were sitting in court with no. Anyway, they were in court and they're trying to defend their fraud. Right?
Okay, sure.
And this is what I want to get to, because they're trying to introduce their doctrine, right? As sort of an excuse.
Sure.
And trying maybe for some sort of religious exemption, right? Because they live the law of consecration, Dan. So the law of consecration is this Mormon idea, this Mormon doctrine,
right?
That all things are shared in common. It's a form of communism,
right?
Religiously based communism. Everything belongs to God. So who are you to hold on to it? You turn everything over to the church, and then the church pays owns your housing and pays for everything and blah, blah, blah. And you get everything from sort of like a little storehouse.
Right.
Right. And this is, I mean, it's just lovely sounding, isn't it?
Just so much so.
I mean, you work for the common good, for the good of the community.
Right.
It's great. It's great. So they believe that when their wives, who aren't actually married to, so they're
not legally
married
because you're
to,
not legally allowed to marry more than one person,
who don't really have any income, and qualify for food stamps, that those food stamps should be transferred to the church.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. And then the church gets to decide who gets
what?
the food.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And it's not, I don't think they actually have they don't turn over their Horizon cards. They go shopping.
Right.
And then they put it all in the storehouse and then it gets divvied up.
Oh my.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that like the most fucked up? And so they're actually citing other examples of communities like Alaskan communities, Alaskan Native communities,
like Inuit or what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, who have a couple of exemptions or exceptions rather for how they use their food stamps.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like,
because you totally
it's for
qualify
purchasing things that normally wouldn't be covered because they're necessities in their communities.
Right.
Like actually like hunting equipment they're able to buy with food stamps because that makes sense.
Because that's food. Hunting equipment equals
exactly,
food.
Right. And so it's a vital part of their nutritional need and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I think these guys have a good leg to stand on here. I think they got it down.
I just love it.
Oh my God. So dumb. Well, there you go. They're great down there. I'm going to take us to New York City. I'm going to take us to is the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of New York.
Oh, no way.
This is actually, it's hard to believe this, but I'm about to give good news about the Roman Catholic Diocese of New York. You ready for it? Are you braced?
Yes.
Are you prepped?
So. Yeah, okay.
So there are obviously none of us are surprised to learn that there have been priests that have been doing bad things to kids for a long time. And some of these victims have been able to sue the church and get money. Some of them waited too long, and then the statute of limitations came up, and they can't sue.
Right.
Well, the Archdiocese of New York, led by Archbishop Cardinal Timothy Dolan, set up a group that has oversight but has entire autonomy that these people can appeal to, and this group can just give them as much money as they think they should.
No way.
Yeah. It's an arbitration scheme.
Okay.
That basically, I mean, the church has already paid hundreds of millions to people, but they've gotten this guy. Where's the guy? What's the guy's name?
So Timothy Dolan is selling his house out in the Hamptons.
Oh, no. Come on. No.
Where is this money coming from?
He's just justifying his house in the Hamptons by doing a nice thing. Oh, is what he's doing.
Okay.
So this guy, Kenneth Feinberg, who's going to be the program administrator, he's a Washington lawyer who directed funds for the victims of the September 11th attacks, etc. So he's got
so he has actual experience,
really relevant experience.
What specific and weird experience to have.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. And and after several mass shootings. So he's the guy to go to for this. He will have complete autonomy. There will be and the Archdiocese has agreed they will just abide by his decisions, no matter how much money he decides to give people.
Well, there's a fund though. It's not like it's a limitless amount of money.
Right. He can't say, "Oh, you got really hurt. We'll give you 14 billion or whatever.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no, it's within reason, but I mean, the guy knows how to make these calls. Oversight of his of this group, and there's another person. It's this guy Feinberg and somebody else. Anyway, oversight of their decisions will be done by a former New York Police Commissioner, Raymond Kelly, U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska, and child psychiatry expert Jeanette Cueva. Like, everything about this sounds like they're doing it really right to me.
Wow.
I'm kind of
Amazing.
delighted and shocked. And
and
they don't have to do this. What's amazing about this is there is nothing compelling them to do this. They could very easily just say, we're not going to...
Yeah.
They could just do nothing.
No, that's true. Legally they could do nothing. They're clearly, the cat's out of the bag. Let's face it.
Right.
Like, everybody knows this happened. Like, there's no reason to try to cover it up. And so now, what does one do? One hopefully does the moral thing.
Well, but...
In this, and it's not necessarily the thing that you expect them to do.
Well, yeah.
But they're actually doing it.
They're actually doing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal in my mind.
Wow.
In my mind, this is like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. I think that's amazing. I'm going to give them props.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
Well, here is a story about the world's oldest man.
Oh.
At 113, he's finally getting around to something that he should have done 100 years ago.
Oh?
He's doing his bar mitzvah ceremony.
Oh.
113, Dan.
Well,
So it's 2017. What was going on in the world 100 years ago?
Yeah.
World War I.
There you go.
Got in the way of his first bar mitzvah.
Of his...
Or of his bar mitzvah.
Right.
For
those of you not familiar with the customs of the Jewish people, this is a young man's entry into manhood.
yes,
A
at age
ceremony
13.
At age 13. All those Jewish men walking around, those 14-year-old men.
He lived through 2 world wars, the Holocaust. It's the 20th century. Yeah, and now he's celebrating his bar mitzvah.
Well, my understanding is that one of the key elements of a bar mitzvah, not so much a bat mitzvah, which is for the girls, but a bar mitzvah, is the annoyingly cracking voice of this pubescent person, which maybe he's back to that.
Oh yeah.
And now he can have it again. like he had this nice, for all this time he had this manly voice, and now it's back to,
Well, now it's just
when he reads his Torah.
labored and
Right. This
took a really long time.
my other understanding of the bar mitzvah.
He kept forgetting where he was.
Right. My other understanding about a bar mitzvah is like the main reason you have one is not to like become a man or to participate in Jewish tradition. It's because you get money from everybody. Like all of your parents' friends come in, all the congregation at your temple comes in. They give you money.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't care about money. He's 113.
Apparently.
Or maybe he does. Old people often have quite
medical needs.
and they're on a fixed income.
Yeah.
Maybe homeboy needed the cash.
That's why he finally decided to bar mitzvah.
Yeah, exactly. He's like,
I planned for retirement through 110.
Right, yeah.
I wasn't expecting on these 3 extra years.
Who knew? I could keep going, people. I need money. Good Lord.
That's ridiculous.
Well, if you have any reasons why you might need a bar mitzvah, please write into us. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. It's a closed group, so you'll have to, request to join.
Right.
But we'll let you in.
Yes, indeed.
All right, we're going to take a moment to listen to some lovely audio.
Oh, my God.
This is to the finest of the audios.
We're going to listen to a man yell at us for about 2 minutes.
And the man's name is...
what's his name?
Alex Jones. Host of InfoWars. And
he's at war, all right.
Oh, my God.
You want to live? You want to have kids? Don't take the Gardasil shot. Don't eat GMO. Listen to me. I want you to live because I want to treat you like I want to be treated. I'm not the devil. I'm the opposite of that. And these people that say they're your leaders, they want to kill you and your family. And in your gut, you know it. Vote Donald Trump if you want to live. It's that simple. Death is what the globalists have to offer, period. We have crazy people like George Soros and Tim Kaine and others that will end this planet if they have their way. They're megalomaniacs. They must be stopped. The threat isn't Russia, people. The threat is Tim Kaine and George Soros and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. They're the clear and present danger. They're the occupiers. They represent the foreign banks. That think they're going to sit in New Zealand and be okay when there's a nuclear war? Most models show all major life on Earth dead, dumbass. Even if you were just corrupt, why do you want to have an Earth that's ruined? Because you people are satanic. And you've been given power because you've been possessed. You've been turned over to evil. Let me tell you something. George Soros and Hillary Clinton, you just look at them. Those aren't people, okay? You look at Kaine, he's not a person either.
You know, I was fine with sort of the rabid babblings of a man unhinged.
Yeah, right? I love a good unhinged babbling.
But when you start saying that people aren't people, the opposition is not, when you dehumanize them directly, this is actually really dangerous speech.
Frank, look at them. Would you just look at them? They're not people. They're like old.
This is how you set up violence against people.
Yeah.
It's the first, this is one of the steps. You dehumanize the person.
Right.
So that you're not really killing. You're not really acting out against somebody.
Right. You're saving the world.
Yeah.
If Trump doesn't win, the whole world dies. You have to vote for Trump if you want to live. Yeah, you're absolutely right. People who hear that, I don't know how they could possibly get the message that they should just go out and murder Hillary Clinton or whatever. It seems impossible to think.
Well, someone like Alex Jones may or may not actually make the call for it, but it makes it easier for someone else to. It's all part of wow.
Vote for Trump if you want.
Angry little
Also,
man.
where did the whole Gardasil thing or the GMO thing come from? That's out of the blue.
It was probably part of a segue into this. I don't know. I have no clue. But he's really angry.
Yeah, he is. I'm thinking.
I'm worried for America, Dan.
I'm worried for him.
Well, yeah,
I hope he's taking his daily aspirin because that dude is going to die.
But it's going to be the vein on his forehead that blows up.
Just, pew!
Oh my God.
Or just all of the screws will come loose and suddenly his cybernetic.
There's some loose screws.
Yeah, that guy definitely has a loose screw or two. Well, we had some folks write into us.
Did we now?
Yeah, sure. Let's read what they had to say. Sarah wrote in, said, "Hi, Dan and Frank. I love your podcast and have listened for a couple years now. You guys do a great job of balancing funny and serious stuff. I have a question maybe you or the other listeners can help me with. I'm from Southern California. I lived in San Diego my whole life, except when I lived in San Luis Obispo to go to Cal Poly. My husband has just accepted a new job that will most likely see us moving to Ogden, Utah.
Oh, Ogden.
I'm nervous about pretty much everything. I'm sure I'm being irrational, but I've read stories about non-Mormons having a hard time fitting in. We have 2 daughters, 8 and 5 years old. Can you help? Can you or my fellow listeners give me any advice for adapting to life in Utah?
Mm-hmm.
I understand your fear.
I would be more concerned about adapting to life in Ogden.
No, Ogden's great. Here's the thing. You got one of the good ones.
Yeah,
Ogden, if you came up with Provo, we'd have a different thing to say entirely.
Well, yes, Ogden is not Provo. But it's not... My concerns are more... Ogden has a rough edge.
Ogden's got a little bit of a rough edge to it. I mean, we're not talking like Detroit.
No.
But I mean, it's got
a little corner to look out for.
There's a little rough and tumble there, but for the most part, A, you're not going to be like ostracized for not being LDS.
No,
that's a good thing about Ogden.
Yeah.
B, there are places to get beer.
That's true too.
And places to go and get your drink on.
Yeah.
So I think you'll be fine.
Got a cute little historic downtown.
Yeah, it's kind of adorable.
Yeah.
So I think you'll be fine. If you need help with the liquor laws, just go to your nearest person who's not wearing a t-shirt under a strapless dress
or a t-shirt under a t-shirt.
Right. And then ask for help. They will be able to help you.
That's funny.
But thanks for that. Do you want to do a voicemail? Should we go back and forth on this?
Yeah. This is a long-time listener, multiple time caller.
Okay.
With something to say about the election.
Sure.
Hi, Frank and Dan. This is Desert Dave down in San Antonio again. I was just listening to the caller voicemail you played regarding voting, and it reminded me that I wanted to bring this up. I'm one of those who can't vote for either of the two that are the front runners in the race, and I have thought about it quite a bit and chosen to go with the leading third-party candidate, Gary Johnson. Now, he's not even my favorite choice for a third-party candidate out of the libertarian group, but I feel there's a lot of reasons to vote for him in terms of trying to get more diversity in the political process. I would love to hear you guys' take, is that how you say that? You guys' take on this whole third-party lesser of two evils thing. Thanks a lot. Love you guys. And if you want to do a live show in San Antonio, you can stay at my place.
Well, thanks, Desert Dave. Yeah, so this is a thing that I've been ruminating on, this whole
the correct plural of you guys.
You guys is, no. Gary Johnson, Mr. Aleppo moment himself. First of all, I think
he's the one who coined Aleppo moment. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the amazing thing. I don't know if you guys know this. Like the Aleppo thing, somebody asked him about what's going on in Aleppo, and his response was, "What's Aleppo?"
Right.
As though he was being tricked.
Like, is that just a fake word?
You're trying to get me on a gotcha.
Gotcha journalism.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you kind of have to know the names of the capitals of the countries that are in most turmoil in the world. You kind of have to know that.
Yeah.
Also, is it the capital? No, I'm suddenly...
It's a major city,
if nothing else.
If nothing else, it's a major city. It is the capital of the disaster
It's the capital of the disaster of Syria. I like that. And then a few weeks later, somebody asked him asked him to name a world leader that he admires.
This should not be hard.
That should not be hard at all. That should be something that's not a gotcha question at all, because every presidential candidate in the world should have one. Trump's would obviously be Putin, which is terrifying.
Right.
He couldn't come up with any of them. Yeah. He just sat and stared for about a minute and a half and then went, "I'm having an Aleppo moment." He referred to his own other dipshit brain fart to talk about the current dipshit brain fart that he's having.
Well, I think, though, what I'm hearing in Dave's voicemail, though, is that I think maybe he's in this camp of people who are voting for a third-party candidate because, like he says, they want to bring diversity into presidential politics or just politics in general.
And here's the thing. I love the thought of more parties in our political system.
Right.
It is a good idea. It is one that we should embrace as a country. It is great.
Right.
However, you cannot do that vote. The time to do that vote is when the other two candidates are basically on the same plane. One is
Relatively sane.
well, or both cuckoo bananas, but both have to be on the same level so that
Right.
it is an actual. You hear the phrase "lesser of two evils" all the time in this election. That's insanity. Anyone who tells you that this election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump is a lesser of two evils scenario is batshit stupid and needs to be shut the hell up, because you've got one person who's insanely qualified, who has a massive amount of international diplomatic experience, who knows about governing both from the legislative side and who knows what the executive side looks like in a way that nobody else does. Or you've got
Hillary Clinton.
or you've got
just
a big dumb Cheeto who
Yeah.
doesn't know anything about anything.
Right.
And who will break the world.
Yeah.
Who will probably start World War III because someone accidentally, because someone in another country teased him about his hair. That's the choices. So I'm sorry, Desert Dave, you're wrong. You have to vote for Hillary Clinton. You do not have a choice. You can
Tell someone
next
they
time-
have to vote for.
I'm just
I
trying.
say, half.
Well, he's in
vote-
Texas. His vote doesn't matter anyway. But you do have to vote for Hillary Clinton. I don't care.
You just said a lot of things that bug me, Dan.
Good. Frank does not agree with me.
I don't. I mean, in principle, in some ways, I do. You hit some notes that kind of make me uncomfortable. Make my skin crawl a little bit.
Sure.
I have to remind myself that this is not a normal election year.
This is not a normal election year.
So I'm going to give you a little bit of a pass because
nothing that I'm saying would I say
I'm the
on a
guy
normal.
who always calls for civility, would never put down somebody's vote.
Believe me, if this were Mitt Romney again, if this were the halcyon days of Mitt Romney's presidential candidacy, we would be having a very different conversation.
Yeah. It would probably be, you go, Desert Dave, vote for Gary Johnson.
And frankly,
You know what, to be honest, because Mitt Romney would not have destroyed this country.
Right. Exactly.
And
I think Mitt Romney would
guess
have been
what?
a good president. I would have disagreed with many of his decisions.
Right.
But he would have been a good president. He would have known how to do the job well.
Yeah.
He would have been. He would have not caused international incidents because he tweets at 4 a.m.
Right.
Like this, he would be safe.
Yeah.
Whereas, now mind you, I'm going to revise what I'm saying. I went a little off the rails a little there, and I understand that. Here's what I'm realizing.
What?
If you live in a state like ours, Utah, where Clinton has exactly zero chance of winning, or like Texas, or like if you live in a super red or a super blue state, then maybe you can vote for a third party candidate.
See, that seems very generous of you, Dan. To
It is, because even that scares me. Even that, like enough people do that and the wrong thing can happen. But as long as the polling is strong, then go ahead and try and get the third party to go in. But so help me God, if you live in Florida or Ohio or Iowa and you vote for anyone but Hillary Clinton, you're an immoral asshole.
Because Desert Dave is thinking strategically about future elections,
And I'm all about strategic thinking,
and
which is why I revised.
Okay, all right.
I'm all about strategic thinking, but so help me God, if you live in one of those swing states, if you live in a state that is a light color and not a deep, deep red or deep, deep blue,
Yeah.
nope, you don't. There's no choices here.
Well, you heard it, folks, from Dan.
Yeah. And you better listen.
But the one thing that I absolutely do agree with you on is the whole lesser two evils thing. It just makes me so angry. I like
She's
Hillary
not.
Clinton.
She's
like her.
brilliant.
I know. And
She's an amazing candidate.
Like, I was sitting there through the whole Bernie thing going, oh my God, here's this guy who finally is saying all these things that I can't believe I'm hearing this from an actual candidate who, wait a second, is actually in the running.
Right.
What the fuck? And
that was great.
And so I was like, and I'll be eternally grateful to Bernie Sanders for allowing people with socialist leanings to feel safe.
Yeah.
To actually express those political ideas.
Right.
Or to actually self-ascribe as a socialist.
As a
you know?
Yeah. As a democratic socialist, usually.
Sure, as a democratic socialist. But nonetheless, he took that word and he gave us permission to use it again.
Made it a lot less scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's good stuff. And but so I was sitting there. I would have been fine with Bernie. I don't think Bernie would have been an effective president.
He wouldn't have been able to get most of what he wanted to get done.
Right. And I worry about Hillary Clinton's ability to work to not just face the same obstructionism that you know Obama faces, but at least she's safe.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, at least we know that no
At the end of 4 years there'll still be a United States of America.
Right. Like the president of the Philippines can't say something that would offend her so much that she just launches an attack. Which I guarantee you that could happen with Trump.
Oh.
All right. We need to get off of this. Another email, perhaps? Yes, let's do that. Thank you, Dan. Yes, okay. Wendy from Atlantic, Canada writes, hi, Frank and Dan. I do love you guys and love the show. I seriously look forward to every week. You may, however, want to check your own confirmation bias.
Oh?
She's writing in reference to your story last week of the Danes, of the propaganda being put out by European countries to try and keep refugees at home.
Yeah, okay.
She says rapes actually have increased significantly in Europe with the influx of Muslims.
Okay.
With open borders, the immigrants aren't vetted as they are in North America. As a liberal, I refuse to lump all of any group, including Muslims, into one big pile.
Right.
However, polling the majority of Muslims globally show clearly that misogyny is a huge problem.
Sure. Okay.
I don't think that's shocking news to anybody. Where women are considered property and not human beings, in very many Islamic countries, rape is not seen in the same way as we see it here.
Oh.
Theocracies, as you know, are not democracies. She said, although I think Denmark's advertising is very ignorant and callous in message toward law-abiding Muslims, it does come out of a genuine fear and an actual increase in sexual assaults because of religious/cultural attitudes towards women. I think that there's something to that.
Right.
But the solution isn't stay home, you Muslim people, ye desperate Muslims.
No.
The solution is, welcome here. We've got some rules.
And we'll kick you out.
We'll throw you in fucking jail.
Yeah.
We will not. You can have a good life or you can have a miserable life.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We don't do those rapey things.
Right.
That's not how we do.
And
you don't get to do that when you're
the
here.
racist spray.
Yeah.
The racist spray was a problem.
Racist spray, not okay.
Yeah.
That was a rhyming thing.
That's the slogan against the racist spray.
That's the Johnny Cochran moment. All right.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I got another one, Dan.
Okay.
Let's power through these.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where are we?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is Brian calling from Dallas, Texas. Was listening to the show this morning on my way to work and got a huge kick out of the fact that a Donald Trump campaign ad aired before the episode. I know that you guys use some kind of ad service and aren't necessarily affiliated with any of the advertisers before the show and during the show, but thought you guys would get as big of a kick out of it as I did. Anyway, keep up the great work. Thanks so much for your show, guys. Have a good one.
So we've gotten about, a gazillion emails, voicemails, letters, whatever. on this topic, including people writing like 1-star reviews on our iTunes page and being like, we liked them before, but now I'm never gonna listen again
because an ad was placed
for Trump.
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen,
2 things.
If it wasn't clear to you in the last thing that I said, we're not Donald Trump fans.
Right. We don't like Donald Trump, so that's number 1. Okay.
Yes.
And so that's actually a few things here. Number 2 is, as the caller points out, it's a service.
Right.
That they place the ad based on where you are.
Yeah, it's your fault, listener.
We have nothing to do with the choice placement.
They check what
anything.
they think your demographic is, where you are in the world and whatever.
And has the Trump campaign said that you are someone who
they want to target?
That's why you're hearing a Trump.
No, I get it. Like,
now we're not saying
sucks to hear a Trump ad on our show.
Right.
I think that our listeners are smart enough that they don't have to vote for him now that they've heard his ad. I think that, like, we can all agree that, like, just because you heard an ad doesn't mean that you are now under any obligation to Trump.
And the third thing is, yes, I will take Donald Trump's money.
Damn, Skippy. Here's what's great about this.
That's business. That's just being smart.
That's just smart.
That's business.
The man has never paid, like, there's been years and years where he hasn't paid a dime of taxes to the government.
Right.
But he's paying us, baby. I'm getting paid.
And there's no way it's already been paid for.
Yeah, he can't rip us off. He can't come back and be like, your show didn't give us the results we wanted. We're only going to pay half. Right. Which is what he does to all of his contractors and stuff.
Right. So hopefully our hosting service has already collected the check from the Trump campaign.
Right. Yeah.
And but nonetheless.
Yeah. So we got a few nickels off of the Donald.
Yeah. So what?
And you guys have to sit through his dumb voice. But I listened to one of his ads, and it was like kind of amazing.
Really?
The hyperbole. It was literally. It was this bad. I'm not exaggerating when I say, and for our international listeners who don't get to hear that, I'm going to tell you what the ad basically said. It said, if you vote for Hillary Clinton, everything in the world will go wrong. Children will die.
No.
It basically said, and then it said, but if you vote for Donald Trump, everything will be okay. And you know, our jobs will return. And
it sounds like a parody of a political ad.
It is a parody of a political ad. It doesn't offer any reason why Donald Trump's why his presidency will bring back any of the jobs or will be better for the economy or will, whatever.
Right.
But I haven't heard him talking about that wall he's going to build for a while. I miss the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe somebody pointed out to him that most of the illegal immigrants that come into the United States come in on an airplane, which can fly over walls.
Build it taller, Dan.
You get high enough, you can stop those planes. Anyway, yes, I'm sorry about the ad content. We are not responsible for what ads come on.
Yeah.
We don't do anything. If an ad came on for something truly repugnant, we might write a letter. I don't know. But I trust that our content counteracts Trump ads enough that it's fine. I get tickled by it, frankly.
It seems like a strange juxtaposition. It is a strange juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Listen to us and then listen to Trump.
I feel like he's literally throwing away his money. And I really enjoy
I'll take it.
I really enjoy watching him do that. That's kind of fun for me. So I hope that you guys can see it in that way and not stop listening to us.
Or give us a 1-star review.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And as a matter of fact, you guys, we may need some help counteracting those. Do you want to go on to your iTunes and give us a 5-star review? That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
That'd be great. It's not difficult to do. Pretty easy. Anyway, there you go. Anything else on your end?
Yeah, I do. I have one more that I want to play.
Okay.
Hey, Frank and Dan, this is Trent from Michigan. I think you should also do a live show out here, so if you can make that happen. I'm calling because I was just in your hometown of Salt Lake City. My atheist fiance and I She got to meet my Mormon mother for the first time, and the first thing we did when we got off the plane was we went to Temple Square, to the Visitor Center, and then took a tour of the Beehive House from some lovely sister missionaries. Oh, it was a great time for all. But it was really good to say at the end of that to my mother and to those sister missionaries that I am an atheist and don't believe in a higher power. Felt very good. So thank you for the show, and have a good week.
Trent brings up an interesting, well, he makes an interesting request at the beginning, which is he'd like us to come to Michigan to do a live show. And so one of the things that, we did a live show recently here
in Salt Lake.
It
went swimmingly.
It went very well, and it was a lot of fun to do. And part of sort of our redesign of the Patreon campaign,
right?
We've been talking a lot about this next goal of $300 per episode, right?
Which gets us to the point where we do video.
Right. So then there will be the video version of the show, and that's I think it's a great step, and it's something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. But what we haven't been talking about is what are the next goals after that.
Right.
And the very first goal after $300 an episode, I think it's like $450 an episode.
Right.
We promised to do 2 live shows a year where we actually get out into the world.
Right.
We're going to fly out to possibly Michigan or wherever, and we're going to be listening to our patrons. They're going to be chiming in and voting, and based on your donating level. I love that I do that. Your donation level of either $1 an episode, $2 an episode, or $3 an episode, or more. But that's we're actually giving a weight to your vote,
right, for
those dollar amounts, right?
And this is just to be clear, what we're talking about. We'll come out and do a live show. If you pay for it, we'll just come out.
Oh yeah, that's a different thing.
But this is on our dime.
This is us coming out, setting up, getting hotel rooms, and finding a venue and doing a local show for our listeners in that area. Right.
And because we want to meet you guys, we want to be out there with you guys.
It's a lot of fun, and I mean that's why we started doing this, was to connect with people and to I didn't think we initially thought about traveling with it much, but
we love it when we do it.
So wonderful. These local meetups have been wonderful. Our drive through the South, 4 years ago now, was amazing.
Yeah,
it was so much fun to meet people, and we produced some videos on the road, but we didn't really have this idea of doing live shows yet.
Right.
So that's going to be a major part of what we want to do going forward.
Right.
And so you can support us in that endeavor by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, looking for the support tab, and signing up on Patreon as a patron.
And not only does that help us with our mission of going out and into the world and doing live shows around the country, around the world, wherever, it also increases the chances that we'll come to where you are.
Exactly.
So that's great.
Yeah. And of course, we want to thank
those who have already been
our new patrons this week.
Yeah.
Tim Burskaplatypus, Janet, and Chad.
Nice.
I don't know what a Burskaplatypus is, but thank you.
It's a donor. And we love it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, guys.
It's very meaningful to us. So, Frank.
Yes, Dan?
Have you heard of the Mormons? Have you ever heard of this wacky little group of guys in ties?
Oh my God!
Known as the Mormons.
Oh, it's just the worst.
They recently had their Mormon General Conference.
Yeah.
I did my first live tweet.
Really?
Thing from the General Conference this year.
You sent out a tweet?
I sent out multiple tweets.
Oh, wow.
I sat there. I went to Temple Square because I just wanted to, just on a whim, I just thought, wouldn't it be funny to go there?
Did you announce that you were live tweeting?
Yeah, but like right as I did it, I didn't announce it beforehand. It was just like, "Hey, guys, I'm doing this thing," because it just occurred to me in the moment.
You should have had Periscope running at the same time. Dan.
I should have. I should have.
There's a lot of shoulds.
Anywho,
With
another thing that happened during this during this general conference was that somebody leaked a whole bunch of videos that from within the locked vault of the inner sanctum of Mormonism.
God, really?
Now there have been now before leading up to this, there have been the leak of a shit ton of documents that were just boring, and all they did was point out, oh, Mormons are good at finances,
Administration,
and administration,
yeah,
and B, boring,
right?
Then these videos came out, and I at first didn't bother to even look at them because I know Mormons, they're boring. And if it's more videos, and here's what you have to understand: what these are videos from a few years back, probably like I think it's like early aughts to sort of early teens,
somewhere around there, yeah.
And they and it's higher up. It's like the top brass of the LDS Church, hearing like presentations from various and sundry people, including presentations about things that are happening on the political landscape, presentations about things that are happening in the world in terms of like demographics and like who's getting married and who's not, and politics.
Brangelina's divorce.
Right, that one was a big one. That one came up really big. Only it was earlier, so it was Brad and Jennifer that was the big thing.
They were big fans of.
It was weird to see Elder
Jennifer.
Packer crying about it. I didn't understand that. It's so
Benifer. It wasn't Brad and Jennifer. It was Ben and Jennifer.
Oh well,
it was Benifer.
But it was originally Brad and Jennifer.
Was it?
Yeah,
they were together.
Oh yeah,
but they didn't marry.
Yeah,
did they?
I don't. Fuck if I know. I don't care. Let's just. I'm going to keep going here. So one of the videos. So what's amazing about these videos, and here's where I wanted to go with these. You don't get to see these men unrehearsed. You don't get to see these men just say their honest opinions about things.
Right.
Ever.
Though one can imagine.
Sure, it's clear where most of them are coming from at most times. Yeah. But, you know, there's this whole cynical thing where people are like, they don't, you know, once you get to a certain level, they don't believe anymore or whatever. And they just, I'll tell you, some of them, it's very clear. It's not clear for all of them, but some of them, it's very clear, believe deeply in their church and whatever.
Okay.
There's a former senator from Oregon in one of the videos who comes up and gives a whole presentation.
Oh. Okay.
Gordon Smith of Oregon, who's a Mormon. His is really fascinating. You guys might want to check that one out because, like, you definitely don't get to see politicians just giving their honest opinion. And he is talking to people that he feels he must be honest with.
Okay.
And it's fascinating.
Okay. All right.
The title of that video is these are from the YouTube channel is Mormon Leaks.
I like Mormon Leaks better.
Well, but that's not the actual name of the channel, which is what I'm trying to give people so that they don't go to the wrong place. Anyway, the title of the video that has a senator in it is in which they discuss politics with Senator Gordon Smith. Now, here's what's amazing about it. He says a bunch of things that don't surprise you. He says a bunch of things. You know, he's a conservative guy.
Sure.
He's a lifelong pro-life guy. He actually says, "I have the stripes on my back to prove it." To prove
he's been whipped up.
He's been
whipped over this.
Yeah. Well, he was in Oregon, the poor bastard. How did that work? Which he refers to as the most pro-abortion state in the country.
Oh, they find fetuses to abort.
They go out of their way to
go fetus hunting.
They get pregnant
just to abort
for the abortion.
Yeah,
they have a party,
a little pastime.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, they do abortion upright in Oregon.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is amazing to see a man who is clearly a sincere believer in his church. In part, we know this because he says overtly, my temple recommend was more important to me than the confirmation of my office or whatever it was.
God.
Meaning, he made decisions, and he says this very clearly and very overtly, based on not what was right for the country,
Right.
but what was right for the church. Including, he said, voting for the Iraq War. I just said Iraq. I prefer the pronunciation Iraq.
Yeah.
He voted for the Iraq War because he saw God's hand in it to open up the Middle East for missionary work.
How did that work out?
Well,
God has a messy hand.
he told a story about a time when he went to Iraq to visit some soldiers, or maybe it was Afghanistan. I don't know. He went to some place to visit some soldiers.
Yeah.
And one of them, an LDS soldier, like he visited all of his Oregon soldiers.
Right.
And then one of them pulled him aside and said, "Hey, Elder so-and-so," called him Elder, I think.
Oh, right.
That's code for we're both Mormon now.
Right.
He said, "Just so you know, the people here are ripe for the word of God, and we've already baptized some of them." Oh, my God. The fucking soldiers were baptizing people Mormon.
God.
I got to tell you, man, there's a lot of revelations in that Senator Gordon video. I just could not believe. I'm watching this thing. I thought I would be bored out of my mind, but when I realized that this guy isn't talking political, he's making political statements, but he's not being politic.
Right.
In how he's talking.
Right.
He's not talking to constituents. He's not talking to voters. He's not talking to people who will give to a campaign. He's just laying it out there. He talked about how when he was in office, one of the guys there, one of their operators, not one of their main general authorities, but one of the people that the general authorities orders around to get stuff done, called him and said, "Hey, we're having trouble getting missionaries in India. India's not issuing visas for these guys."
Oh.
He used his position as a senator, called the Indian ambassador to his office.
What?
And had him, and then said, "Hey, U.S.-India relations. Oh, by the way, how about my church?"
Wow.
And got the visas done. And he was like, "You guys aren't using us. You've got 4 or 5 senators right now." And that at that time, there was the 2 senators from Utah, which is Orrin Hatch and Bob Bennett at the time.
Right.
And then Harry Reid and him and I think maybe one other person.
Was it Urquhart? He was in the Congress, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't think he was a senator.
And a bunch, but there were a bunch of Congress people.
Right.
And he said,
a ton of them.
He said, "You didn't use me enough. You should have used me more." Apparently, because I'm willing to use my position to further. I mean, and
it makes
we
you wonder
shouldn't
about
be surprised about this because Senator,
but it makes you wonder about the conversations between Mitt Romney
yeah,
and this group of men.
yeah.
Right.
It does make me scared about the prospect of a Mormon in the presidency,
Especially somebody who has come up through the political ranks and has been utilized by the church.
Yeah.
Right. Who has that relationship, who has that experience, who knows that he is subservient to them.
Right.
Right.
Who's making decisions for the whole country based on what's best for his church.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. Like that's some shit right there.
Especially when it's the LDS church.
And he says it outright.
Yeah.
And here's another amazing thing. We all know that the LDS church as an organization, as an institution, leans a little to the right. It's a conservative group. That's very clear. However, the church has always kind of had the stance of like, you vote your conscience. We don't take a political position. You vote your conscience. You know, one of their senators, Harry Reid, was a Democrat.
Right.
And they were very proud of having him in the Senate and whatever.
I'm sure.
I'm sure
they were so proud.
At least on their face. But once they got behind these closed doors, once they got into a video that they didn't think anyone in the public would ever see.
Right.
In the question and answer thing with Senator Smith, suddenly they're asking him, so how are we going to get the Republican Party back on track? Wow. No question. It's everyone in the room is a Republican. They expect the Republicans to be their lifeline, and like it is an elephant room. Yeah. I thought that was fascinating. Fascinating.
Indeed.
Now, the other thing about Gordon Smith, the senator, is that he talks like a Mormon. Oh, yeah. He talks like a general authority. Okay. I would be shocked if he didn't end up being a general authority at some point of the church. Wow. But he does it more than they do it. They don't really do that anymore. They've kind of like fallen away from the whole like general authority cadence.
That one?
Yeah. Okay. They don't do that so much anymore. They're much hipper now. But he talks like someone who's trying to talk like them. It's very weird.
Yeah. It's more emperor like these days.
But it is fascinating to see all of these, these higher ups in the church, these names that you and I grew up with, Boyd Packer and all of these things. He was a horrible person, and I'm fine with him being dead. But he's in these things, and they're leaning back in their chairs, and their big fat bellies are hanging out over, and they're just like, blah, blah, blah. It's like a Jabba the Hutt moment. They're just asking questions. What do you think about the Republican Party?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. So and it's really funny to see these old men discuss, like, there's one where they discuss marijuana, and they clearly have no idea what they're talking about,
They're
even
clueless.
Though they've got, what they're getting is, so they're there to hear a report from, like, a guy who's like the assistant to the head of BYU or whatever, and he's giving them a report on marijuana in the United States of America.
Right.
And it is a bunch of old men who know nothing. They're just like, it's wrong. I mean, it's clear that to them, marijuana is way worse than alcohol or any. It's the worst thing in the world.
They grew up on reefer madness.
Yeah.
And
they bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Wow.
It's very funny. Like, they don't. It's delightful to watch. I mean, even if you watch some of these and you fast forward to, like, although some of the presentations are also delightful because you can tell that they're trying to be honest. They're trying to give good information to these guys.
Yeah.
But A, it's clearly biased.
Right.
And B, they're having to watch what they say a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really. I find these things amazing. So anyway, go out there, go and watch some.
Yay, Dan!
Yeah, I'm sure Mackenzie will start linking to them on the Facebook page on the Facebook.
Just to bore our Facebook supporters.
Yeah, what we like to do is bore you all. No, I don't find it boring at all. Anyway, if you have anything you'd like to tell us about your videos that you've made, please don't.
No.
But you can write to us.
Yourself.
Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yes, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and see what Mackenzie actually does end up posting.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group.
Right.
But we'll let you in.
Right. Hey, don't forget to go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the Patreon button and go and vote for us to come to your hometown by becoming a patron.
And thank you to everybody who's already done that.
Right.
And, of course, thank you to Mackenzie for all of her help on Facebook.
Yeah, and thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club. Thank you to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music. It's delightful.
And thank you, our dearest of listeners,
right,
for listening,
for going to for giving us a 5-star review. That was a little reminder.
Wow.
Yeah, I snuck that one in last minute.
Bye.
Bye, guys.